Skyplex is kind of it's right on the northeast corner of International Drive and Sand Lake Road. And there's a whole story behind how we put that site together. It really started all as a parking lot for mangoes. We bought the old Fun and Wheels property, which was a 4-acre site that had been out of the real estate community for many years. And it was owned by a wealthy surgeon in Windermere who just kept paying the taxes every year. And he had some plan to put a hotel there or something, but he never did anything with it. And we bought it as a parking lot for mangoes. One of the things my dad said was when we had our building under contract, the Front Row Fridays, he said, I'm not going to close. We're not closing on this until we have a parking lot that we can control. So I looked on Google Earth and I said, what the hell, is this thing? And it was for a 4-acre piece of property on the other side behind the Burger King and the Perkins there. And we identified the owner and were able to make a deal to buy it. And that was our original plan, was to come in with mangoes and with this large parking lot. When we got the opportunity to buy the Walgreens property next to mangoes, we said, okay, now that's going to be our parking solution for mangoes. And we're going to build a garage there. And kind of what do we do with that property? And, when you looked at that property on Google Earth, I said, if we're going to do, a kind of a hotel or anything here, we need some International Drive frontage. We need an iDrive address. And when you look at the Google Earth, the Burger King was the prime target for us because it was on an unusually large site. It was overparked. And it married up perfectly to the Fun and Wheels. So I was able to buy the Burger King and then buy the 7-Eleven and the Dowdy bowling alley. All long stories. Each one of them was like I always say, it was like a Rubik's cube. And I could talk for.
And the whole time people didn't know that this was all one owner.
Yes, correct. We were accumulating property under kind of like the Reedy Creek style, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I have a bunch of different LLCs, but I mean, at the end of the day, the owners didn't care as long as they got their price, as long as they got their money. So, but I didn't want anybody knowing that, it was the same guy, doing it all. So we used some different methods, which are fine, and we closed, on these deals. And then the most important thing, people talk about the delay, but what we did was we were able to acquire the Perkins on the corner, and that changed the entire complexion of the entire Skyplex. We had to buy 8 Perkinses to buy that one corner of iDrive and Sand Lake Road. The other 7 are scattered around Florida. They're on good, they're in good locations, and we made a conscious investment in those other Perkinses. And one day, hopefully they'll be Perkinses forever, and that's what we hope. But we've taken that one out of the master lease, and it's now part of the site. And kind of all at the same time, while we were buying the Walgreens and moving our parking strategy over to the Walgreens site for mangoes, I got a Bill Kitchen from US Thrill Rides. He saw the trade in the property appraiser's website of the Fun and Wheels trading to us, and he called my lawyer, just a cold call, and he said, I want to talk to the new owner of the site. I think it's a great site for an attraction on International Drive because it used to be Fun and Wheels. And he said, he said, what's your idea? He says, oh, it's a vertical roller coaster, goes straight up in the air.
Oh, wow.
I mean, most, 999 people out of 1,000 we hang up the phone and go, who was that guy? And, we were like, cool. We were like, we have no idea how tall it would be or what it would cost or whatever. And so, we have some early 2013 visions of the site before we had put together the whole thing of this vertical polar coaster back there. And we thought we could put some hotels, or it's turned, obviously, once we got locked and loaded on it. What we've done is we've purchased the rights for the polar coaster from US Thrill Rides for the state of Florida. They can't just, anything. If we would, it would have to go through us. We own the rights to the state of Florida, and then you don't just build $125 million, structure like this and then put a cotton candy stand next to it. So I think what the big vision was, let's wrap it in a building that's a giant indoor complex. That's kind of just basically like a 5 times the size of mangoes.
Mm-hmm.
and have everything inside there, whether it's the queues, the retail, all the bars, some of the other attractions, simulators, video games, all this other stuff that everybody knows is going in, and it's so unique for the region because nobody has an indoor facility. Everybody's taking advantage of the beautiful Florida sunshine, right? And they have these big outdoor promenades and theme parks and like that. But it rains a lot here. It's hot all the time, and and Skyplex was always, we always thought it was a great idea because living here, I know it's tough to find indoor things to do with your kids if it's nasty out. So so when we kind of put Skyplex into place, first of all, that's the only site you could ever do anything like that with, because it's so dead center in the tourist commercial district. It's so far away from any residential. It's surrounded by hotels. It's the busiest one of the busiest tourist strips in the whole world. And again, like Mangoes, we're putting thousands of parking spaces. We've worked with the best civil engineers to create an inn from International Drive, and then a giant cache of parking inside the structure, and let people go across the pedestrian bridge to Mangoes, get them walking and going into the new world's largest McDonald's or some of the retail at iShops like Cold Stone Creamery or one of these other places that have people walking on International Drive, because right now all they're doing is driving. Right now all they're doing is driving. So when you put the Skyplex facility, the way that we've designed it, next to the Orlando Eye, and then you have the pedestrian bridge and the wider sidewalks, all of a sudden you've transformed this suburban urban plan, this suburban 1983 type of thing into the 21st century, 2015. But the thing is, I got to tell you, and any government official will tell you that these visioning studies, they don't mean anything unless you have the private sector to put in the investment and have the vision to go in and build it. And we're the ones that are on the front line signing our names to the banks, pledging that we're going to pay back massive amounts of financing to build these facilities. I mean, we're the entrepreneurs that are creating jobs, that are creating creating mobility, creating a better iDrive that's better for the residents, that's better for the people that live here, that can say, you know what, I love going to Eddie V's at night, or I love going to Moonfish for dinner, and then we head over to the iDrive Entertainment District because I get a couple of drinks at Mangoes, then we walk over to Skyplex. It's great. I walk over to, I ride the bull at Cowgirls, I mean, people are out there walking and spending money in all those little stores. And like I said in the last hour, Ken, there are so many smaller voices. The guy with the leasehold on iDrive that's been there for 15 years and is doing T-shirts or Disney Disney gift shop. All he has is the people that walk in every day. And when you have a 47 out of 100 as for walkability, and he's got very little parking and all the stuff is going on. So this transformation of International Drive, it's not just for everybody. It's for everybody. And again, there are so many voices, and I hope they're going to be heard, and I hope that they'll reach out to Orange County because when we build this thing, and the pedestrian bridge goes in, and Mangoes is there, and the Orlando Eye 360 complex is more mature and continues to tenant some of the spaces that are vacant there. They just had to get that wheel open. It was done. It was ready to go. But I mean, look, things evolve. Things evolve. That complex is going to be a vibrant place to go when you combine it with Mangoes and Skyplex.
There's you mentioned the funding there, and there have been some people questioning how does a club owner from Miami, now you're building this $1 billion. I mean, altogether, all the stuff that's happening here between yourself and Unicorp, we have over $1 billion of investment. How's the club owner from Miami afford that? And I know you've looked at the EB5 programs there, but is the finances for this secure?
Yeah, so we have, I mean, there's a tremendous worldwide following for Skyplex, and I think that um, this this issue that's come up recently with the opposition to it from Universal has really gotten people passionate about, you know, small business and people willing to take chances and step outside. I mean, you know, this is difficult for me. You know, I come home to I have a beautiful wife of 13 years and two young children, and I have to do this all day long, and then I come home and I have to help my son with his algebra, you know, and I have to help my daughter, you know, write an essay for her social studies class. You know, I have to turn it off and go home and be a daddy, you know, and a husband to my wife. So this is difficult, you know, and being an entrepreneur, that's why there's no American word for it. There's only a French word for it because it means so much, you know. But the entrepreneurs are the ones who built America. We're, you know, the entrepreneurs are the ones that went west and you know, and were willing to go into the wilderness where there was, you know, wild animals and you know, Native Americans tribes and mountain lions and grizzly bears, and they just kept going. And we are again, I mean, I mentioned this to Chuck the other day. I mean, we're signing our names on these, you know, gigantic financing packages because we believe in what we're doing. We have our belief, and we've sort of left, you know, it's not that I'm not, you know, I don't feel fear because I'm a human being, but being brave is not feeling fear. Being brave is doing the right thing, even when you're afraid to do it. You still have the courage to go through the fire, even though you're scared and you don't know where you're going to land. And that's why, that's what built this great country is entrepreneurs and willing to take chances, and willing to risk everything to achieve something great. And that's what we're doing. To go back to your question, we have a great amount of interest in China. Obviously, you know, we're doing a large EB5 raise, and we also have a tremendous amount of interest from wealthy Chinese investors who are trying to get their money out of China because of the recent stock market crash there. So, you know, what I like to tell people is, you know, how America lost its moxie in the world, and what we're dealing with today is, you know, in the 70s, they opened up China to outsourcing. And all of a sudden, we used to make things in this country. We used to make clocks and radios and this and that. And then it all got outsourced to China. And then we send our money there, and they send us product, and we stock it in Walmart, you know, and Target. We have these giant, and then we buy this crap back, you know. And so the money is going to China. The product is coming from China, and we're buying it. Okay, we're buying, you know, and with the way that we're looking to finance Skyplex, it's the complete reverse. It's how we get our moxie back as Americans. We're using their money and American steel and American workers and American products and American innovation. We're building in Orlando, Florida, using local construction workers. We're using steel that was made here. We're using where most of the building is concrete. Okay, it's all comes from the United States, and you know, Intamin obviously is a European company, but they're a global company. They have a U.S. office, and we're using capital from China, and that is the way to turn it on those guys. Let's use their money and our product instead of the other way around.
That will cause them to come here when they have a attachment to it. They're more likely to hype it with their friends and have their friends.
If you look on Twitter in China, they tweet about Skyplex every day. I mean, it's viral all over. They all know Skyplex in China. The whole world is waiting for this roller coaster and this complex to be built. The whole world is waiting, and this whole what we're going through right now is only creating more and more interest in the project, and people are not going to believe when we build it, the ride, because it's going to be so unbelievable. I mean, whoever you call God, you're going to talk to at some point on Skyscraper. I mean, I truly believe that. I actually, I'm scared, to go, I'm going to ride. Obviously, it's our own roller coaster, but I mean, to go up, 50 stories in the air and be outside, I mean, is unbelievable. And I always say the same thing. These are going to be, coaster enthusiasts. These are going to be, these theme park enthusiasts that build these extreme coasters. They're doing some of them in SeaWorld, and I really believe that the people that are going to be coming to Orlando to ride Skyscraper are going to spend half a day with us and the rest of their entire trip at Universal Studios. So, we're just a half day, or maybe a 3/4 of a day on iDrive. But the people coming for us are not the Thunder Mountain rider or the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train rider. They're the Hulk rider and the Dueling Dragons rider and the Mummy rider, and so I think that we only benefit Universal Studios, and that
you complement it well.
We complement it, and a rising tide, raises all boats. When we celebrated 62 million visitors this year, like I told you, it's going to be 65 million. It's going to be, and I think the big jump to the 70 and 75 million is going to come through the revamp of Hollywood Studios, which is going to be the Star Wars world. Because I know for a fact that they've got, a big acreage over there, and they're going to be doing something incredible and immersive, and people are going to come from around the world to be engaged in a Star Wars kind of universe, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan too. So and with that comes a little bit of traffic, with that comes, but that's what they're doing the I-4 Ultimate about. That's what they're already spending.
Maglev.
Yeah, we've got Maglev, we've got the trolleys, we've got parking garages going in that the private sector is paying for. We've got the pedestrian bridges going in. We've got the wider sidewalks.
But you're helping finance the pedestrian bridge.
We've offered to advance that project. Mr. Rosen did the same thing in 2009 during the recession. Rosen advanced money to the county to build a bridge, and he was paid back through some sort of mechanism, whether it was CRA or tourist tax or whatever it was. And so he was willing to front the money and then let the public pay it back as it could. Okay. And we've offered the same thing. We've said, that intersection of International Drive and Sand Lake Road, you have 19 lanes of traffic waiting for a signal and pedestrians walking. And so if you put the pedestrians up above the roadway, now you can retime the lights to not have to wait for crosswalks. You want to get people through there, get the pedestrians off the street. And then you're double timing cars through that intersection. Okay. And I mean, any civil engineer will tell you this, but of course we have a lot of misinformation out there. That's not how you tackle complex problems when you're a leader and you're on top of something. You have to look at it like a multi-phase approach. You have to consider all the different aspects of it. Safety, like I said, you said earlier, you were asking about whether I would be in favor of going to 3 a.m. for the International Drive District to do this is a sophisticated city now, it's a global city. Shouldn't we have to 3 a.m.? Well, part of me would say, sure, why not? Well, the problem is, but my other half says that's a sophisticated question, and we need other input from all the different agencies and all the different people that will affect before any such topic could become led.
Also, just going back to the roller coaster, there's also another attraction that's launched in that. Just talk about that drop coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Skyflex has 4 major attractions that are you got Skyscraper, the tallest roller coaster, which goes up to 500 feet, and it's the top. the skyscraper tower, and it boards from inside the first level of the main Xbox arcade level. So everybody that's gaming around you and drinking and enjoying the whole thing sees you waiting in queue, and then you get into this seat, and you start going up with your back to the tower. You keep the room, and you start heading up. Okay, and to climb up, by the time you get to about 200 feet, you're like, did I really just strap myself in for drink? Then you get to 300 feet, you're like, oh my god. And then you get to 400 feet, you're like, okay, now I've just given myself to the heavens. And we'll apex it around where it's obviously the world's tallest level, which would be all of the dog, also and you'll be there for a few seconds and then have more of the skyfall. It might it might give you a little tilt to the roof, kind of fake you out, and then it's just going to go. And 90 miles an hour back down, and it's all magnets. It's all magnets. So it's all you're stopped by and that's how that rides. At least you've been on a roller coaster before and you kind of know with that drop, going 90 miles an hour down, it's intense. It's really intense. And that's why when you say that, the intensity of the skyplex attraction lends itself to the first one. Because people want to go up there and probably there and the line wide, they're going to want to go that game back in the water as opposed to
We have 15 enough. So we talked about the side last year, the attacks of the day on the close. Do you have any other types of details that
Well, what we have is when you go up into the Sky Plaza, everybody saw, you can see you go up the escalators past what we got the world's largest program for us to get that point. I tell you that story one day if you want to look at it. But when you come underneath the coaster and you're walking through the Sky Plaza, we want that area to be really attractions. So we're looking at some opportunities there, but we're looking for excitement, we're looking for immersion, and we're looking for you to not think you're in strip mall, seeing people, whatever, Baskin Robbins. It's going to be completely world class. If there is an ice cream store there, it's going to be like an old fashioned ice cream shop, like Jackson's Ice Cream in Hollandale Beach that's been there for 35 years. You know, I that's what I would bring up to Skyplex, Jackson's Ice Cream, not something that anybody can see anywhere else. It would always have to be kind of an original, amazing, thing where you really feel like you're in another world.
And at Mango's, there's actually a part of the old TGI Fridays. Can you talk about that briefly?
Yeah, one thing we find because I come from Miami Beach, originally, and we have a lot of historic preservation there. We have a lot of architectural buildings that were built 100 years ago, and you're not allowed to tear them down. You have to refurbish them. And then on International Drive, you don't have a lot of that. You have a lot of the kind of stuff kind of grew up right around Disney World, and there are call it, whether it's an IHOP or a Denny's or there. I mean, it was built in 1984. Quickly, it's cranking. It's probably one of the top in the chain, doing $3, $4, $5 million a year. Mm-hmm. The building's probably 15 to 20 years past its significant lifespan, but they're still cranking cash out of there. So there's no need to but it's definitely not the highest and best use of the site. So there is no historic preservation on International Drive. These are just really cheaply built. Some of these, especially North High Drive, infrastructure. And when we came and found Friday's Front Row, we knew we were going to gut the whole place, and we knew everything was going away. And there was a piece of the sidewalk right at the front door that was signed by the celebrities that they had the night they opened Friday's Front Row in summer of 1995. It was Chris Berman from ESPN, Boomer, Kathy Ireland, the supermodel, Kareem, the captain of the LA Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and from the U and the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl champion Michael Irvin all signed this one area of the concrete. And we looked at it and said, we've got to preserve this. This is history. And we cut it out of the sidewalk and we put it in a special place for 2 years, and we've just now put it back exactly where it was, and it's there. And we're going to put a little plaque there. It says, "This day in iDrive history."
Wow.
In 1995, this Friday's Front Row opened at this location because there's really nothing like that on iDrive, and we want people to know that there is a history, and we're making that happen, and we're honoring that history.
Well, not good. How do you see the Skyplex also?
Well, first of all, I mean, you're talking about a $500 million investment. You're talking about thousands of jobs in going for years and years and years. So we're talking about creating a giant tax base for the county. The better International Drive does, the more money International Drive makes. Okay, contact the property appraiser. The more money that iDrive makes, the more heads that are in the beds there, the less pressure on the homeowners of this community and their property taxes. The property taxes will stay low as long as we're cranking people in the tourist quarter. So there has to be an understanding of give and take. Skyplex is going to revolutionize that intersection, create the urban densification that they're looking for in the vision study, create the pedestrian bridge, create the wide sidewalks, and then you have a 450-acre swath of Universal Boulevard that's going out for sale. You have an entire, Uniport's made no secret that they're continuing to master plan the iDrive 360, the Goodwings and the Wyndham into basically one property that has a lot of pedestrian pathways through it to Sand Lake Road, and then you would take the pedestrian bridge over the Skyplex. And that's what makes up the iDrive Entertainment District. We're right in the beginning. There's the next 5 years, that whole area will transform. It's the $1 billion block. It's the $1 billion block, and it's going to create mobility. It's going to create jobs. It's going to create tax revenue. It's going to create excitement, critical mass on iDrive, and it's going to give so much back to this community from a financial standpoint and from just a fun standpoint. How about a great place to go out? How about a place to take your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your friends or whatever? How about just go to dinner and then we have somewhere to go out? Fun, have some fun. And that's what the entertainment district is all about. And we're working very hard to make it.
The Timber Falls will go before the petition.
Yes.
I would be there at that meeting, hopefully speak of. But in the meantime, though, if they like it, what can they do?
Well, right now, what they can do is they can send an email to planning@ocfl.net, and it's just take a quick second and send an email and tell them, just briefly in 2 sentences, if need be, because people are busy these days, why they support Skyplex and why they think it should be built. And the county will read each and every one and of the letters that come in. Planning@ocfl.net, as in Orange County, Florida. Planning@ocfl.net. Please send an email in support of this incredible project. We're ready to build it. We want to build it. And we also want to show the position that this is what the public wants. The public is their customer too, and we can all coexist here on International Drive because we're right in the beginning of a giant renaissance of iDrive, and it's going to be amazing. And really, this 25-year plan means hundreds of billions of dollars to Orange County in the next 25 years. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. That is like you could build the whole country with hundreds of billions of dollars. So I mean, it's just the numbers we're talking about, the jobs we're talking about. We had a recession in this country in 2008 and 9 where nobody had a job, and now that we're coming out of that, we need to do things to continue the American experience and the American dream to the next. We don't want to go back to those times. So we're asking for support. We're asking for people that are underemployed. We're asking for people that don't have health insurance. We're asking for people that want, this thing to happen because this can be a great career for them. Planning@ocfl.net.
As a local
Yes.
I find that.
And if you look at the petition and you look at some of the comments on it, they're from all over the world. And this project really belongs to the world. Skyplex belongs to the whole world. It's the world's tallest roller coaster. It should be in Orlando on International Drive amongst all the theme parks, because then we'll just have it all. We'll just continue to make our destination as a tourist and convention destination more competitive with our real competitors, which are Las Vegas, which are going to Hawaii, which are taking a cruise, going to the Caribbean, going to Sandals and Beaches Resort, going to Jamaica. When a family goes around the kitchen table and says, "Where should we go for our summer vacation?" Someone says Disney World, and someone says, "No, I want to go to the Rocky Mountains or like Aspen or something like that." Then we have to give them reasons to all make a decision to choose Orlando again. Oh, we were just there 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've got Skyplex now. They've got Star Wars World now. They've got Harry Potter World now. They've got this, that, all these different things, and everybody gets convinced.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brian, Robert, Mickey Updates, Brian of Orlando Park Pass.
And Coupon Orlando.
And Coupon Orlando. Mr. Brian in ORL. You can find me at KL Story. You can listen to the Orlando Tourism Report at orlandotourismreport.com. If you want to get this interview and download it, it will be live on the podcast on Tuesday, OrlandoTourismReport.com. Thanks for listening.
Sweet now butterfly, won't you spread your wings and fly?